What do we have? What do we have? Matthias?
No.
What?
No.
No. Nothing more? Just better? Okay.
No, I just added the step, the recipe step,
Okay.
and the icon. The only thing.
Okay. Jasmin worked on the predefined options and it's merged. What do we have? Antoine, new things?
I can make a demo of a contact form on the agency.
Using the workflows?
Yes.
Okay, and I assume I should also merge the coming soon theme. Okay, let's see, we'll have time so we can do that. What else? I think that's it. Okay, status. If someone is speaking, it doesn't work. No, it's Antoine. So fetching. What do we have? We have this PR which was merged, ElementWrapperPartDriver, to fix how elements are imported and exported. We have that, fixing orchard, OpenID assembly, loading errors, binding redirects to load the correct assembly. Okay. Specify tenant name in Logger. This is in one of the loggers. There was no tenant name. So now it's displaying the tenant name. Okay. Benedek, where are we?
There's still one issue yet. I replied to your comments just before the meeting, by the way. There were 2 PRs, I think, that you asked a question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's still one issue left. I didn't really have time, unfortunately, to work on 1.10.3 this week, maybe. I think this week we'll be really ready.
So there is this issue because you said you wanted to try it. No.
Yeah.
There is this issue. And there are 2 PRs that. So this one you commented, I think, because you already take care of that.
Yeah, so the 2.4.0 is outdated, and 1.10x already has 2.9.0, so I will upgrade everything else that I haven't upgraded on 1.10x to 2.9.0 as well, and there's also other changes required, so it's easier to do them in one go instead of upgrading this separate.
And this one, however, oh, this is, you commented on that. Yeah, this is this one you said you wanted to try. Okay, still waiting. That's fine. We waited for 2 years. We can wait for a few more weeks.
Yeah, hopefully not another 2 years, but yeah.
Unless people want to help and try the PR/issue. Sure. There is only one issue that is still pending for repro or not repro, saying close it, it's not an issue, can't repro. So any help is appreciated if you are using Orchard 1. that. Then this is the same Orchard core. Just for next time, so I'm at the top. What's happening? What's happening? This is Taxonomies branch. I did some improvement. I will show you. This is Jean-Thierry undistributed branch. Same thing. This is Matthias on admin menu. Same thing. This is weird. It says Kevin Chalet, but the branch is named CMNDIOB dev. That's weird. Oh, maybe that's a PR. I don't know. So which is a dev branch? So this is a dev branch. Fix various bugs in the OpenID module and migrate. Okay, no, I see. Someone forked it and created a branch, I assume. And then maybe I'm tracking that. I don't know how. Fix various bugs in the OpenID module and migrate to OpenIddict RTM 90 build. So updates on OpenID. If I just focus on the dev branch, just to mention also that Nick is working apparently on the GraphQL, fixing all the stuff, and I am incorporating all the work from James that had been done in his own branch. So that's good. It's in good shape. What do we have here? This is a general API branch from Nick. What else? Dev branch. Fixing empty recipe startup from Himanshu because there were issues with the home route, which could be not initialized. In this case, could be null if the recipe was not defining the settings. So now even if you don't define the settings for home route, there will be a property and it won't fail anymore on the setup. Then Jean-Thierry fixed the form to test the emails, or to send emails. Test, this is just used for testing. Maybe it was used for testing emails. Antoine, I still don't like the fact that we are inheriting controllers. It might work, but it will break at some point. I'm sure it will break. I'd rather have this method copied in the two controllers that inherit from it. Then log the error from beforeAll when it fails, from Pranav, who's a developer in the MVC team. This is because Pranav implemented the same functional test that we do in Orchard core in ASP.NET MVC, and then found some issues and applied the fixes he did back to Orchard. This is just that on when we start the browser for the functional test, it might fail, so he's testing it before it fails in all the tests. Property setter method for workflow strict. So Siaman apparently needed to be able to call into set property of the context object of the workflow. Upgrading YesSql on Nuget. Upgrading YesSql on Nuget. What? Oh yeah. So I added source link on YesSql. This way, I and you will be able to debug into YesSql code when we are working on Orchard core. Very useful. So if I won't have to build to make a custom solution pointing to the source code of YesSql to find the issues. There are no issues, but we'll find bugs. Fixing email confirmation when done through the admin user index page. Fixing email confirmation. didn't see this one. It's weird. Just a placeholder that the view can be found by view engine. Maybe related to the other one here. Send email async. Probably. So fake view. Fixed name layer settings. Yep, that was a typo, so it could not work. File content definition feature. Oh, that's what I wanted to show you. For you, upgrade to font awesome 541. I'm always wondering, whenever you update something, Antoine, what does it add? So in this, I don't know, is it new icons, fixing bugs? It's good to update, but it should have a reason to update. I'm sure there are new icons for sure, but you should write some improvements in the PR at least, so we know. And name, so fixing a name in the documentation, otherwise it would not work. Then Michael Petrinis, I have 2 PRs from him to merge. Oh my god, so bad. Fixing some CSS for the documentation. Easy here. It's not here. Adding predefined fields options editor. This is the thing that Jasmine demoed 2 weeks ago. That lets us edit the options very nicely. And maybe we should have something similar. I already mentioned that for the content items, so we can reorder the content items. Simon will do it, I'm sure. Simon fixed the exported list type list for deployment steps so that they are ordered alphabetically. And he also fixed the supported culture step. What's the name of the step? Setting step with the supported cultures. Now it's parsed correctly. And it works correctly now. So this is this branch. I was chatting this morning with Matthias. Little details about some icons, but I will merge it very soon. Admin trees and just removing the colors setting that we use to test the text field editors. I love my color, but we can do a better color setting, I'm sure. Yep, so removing the files. Editing or removing? What are you doing here? I don't get it. You're just editing the files. I imagine that you should remove the files, no? What do you do? Text.
So it's searching for the CSHTML files, so you need to keep them, else it will crash.
Oh, this is a text area. What? Text field, text area, editor settings. But there is nothing inside.
Yeah.
It's not doing anything, so we can remove it. No?
I removed it, and it was making the admin UI crash. Because it's searching for the text field, text
but if it's searching for something, it's because there is something else to remove, so it doesn't search for them.
Oh, it's the driver. The driver
is
yeah.
Yeah, so remove the driver then, because here it's an editor with nothing. It's useless. I'm sure it shows up as an editor, but there is no thing to do with that. So it should. I didn't check that. Okay, you should just remove the editor. Okay. Questions? Bye bye. Okay, then demos. Let me start with the main thing. So yesterday we were talking with Simon and Imanshu about how to handle content type definitions when you have multiple people working on the same project, the fact that when you create a content type and you are on the deployment, and then you have to copy the database on all the dev machines, or even if one dev adds a content type, you have to share a database or to create new recipes and rerun the recipe. So the solution we decided to implement was to actually use a file to store all the content type definitions. The nice thing with the file is that you can put it in your Git repository, and then when you update, it will just update all the content definitions because they are in the file. And the solution is super simple. The only thing I had to do was to add the notion of if I am on the correct branch. Where is our thread core? I'm on the correct branch, that's weird. Oh, I'm not the correct project. I am. Here, iContent definition store. So before the iContent definition, so the iContent definition manager lets you list types, parts, and update them. And what I did is just create a new interface, iContent definition store, which will actually store the content definition. This is this document. So there is a load and a save, and the default implementation now is called database content definition store, which just uses YesSql to store the document, and this is what it's doing today. It's just now in this class. And now there is a new one, which is file content definition store, which will read a JSON file and store a JSON file. So instead of putting it in the database, this JSON document, the same document is put on a file. So super simple. And this is defined as a new feature in the contents module. Here we have now the default module, default feature, and then the file content definition feature, which will just register add file content definition store, which registers, replaces the existing store and puts its own. Okay, so this is not the default implementation. So if I run this, let's see. If I go there, I don't remember which one. Here, you see this file? So if I open this, content definition JSON, you see content type definition records, content part definition records, you see the parts, all their settings, everything is there. Same thing for the types, everything is there. So now if I run this, okay, admin, content type definition here, article edit, and fields, I will add a field through a boolean field. So if I go on this thing and I look for article, and I will look for the article text field subtitle, okay, line 637, and I save. And now you can see live the file has changed, so YesSql updated it, and I have my new field. So it's using this file to store all the content type definitions. Okay, and this is done because in the modules I enabled file content definition. Okay, it's enabled. The nice thing with, what we do is that if you pull the latest dev branch, it won't use this because you are using database, and we don't want to break that. So what we do is we have a new feature that you enable that will replace it. But I think we should have this by default. I don't see why we would put it in database. We could, but it's more useful when you have a distributed system. And even if you have a distributed system, you're not supposed to change the types on production. So you will redeploy the file and it will still work. So the idea is that we can migrate to this thing. So if you take the dev branch today, we don't want to break you, so it will still use the database. If you want to go to the file content definition store, you need to do two things. First, you go in the site. Let me show you how I did that. You go in the site, and in the content import export, you create a new deployment plan. I don't have one, yeah, like foo, I don't care. And in the steps, you add a step called content definitions. And by doing that, you include everything. And when you execute, you can only export to a file. You export to a file, and it's broken. Interesting. But if you do that from the database, from this, I will try that. Maybe it's because it's right. If you do that when you have the database, the content types in database, then it creates a file, and this file, you put it in your app data here. You name it content definition JSON. You need to edit it because the properties are a little bit different. You just need to change. Here it will be content types. You need to call it content type definition records. And when it's called content parts, it's content part definition records. That's the only thing you need to do. And then you can enable the feature, and it will pick up this file instead of database. But also at the same time, I changed the default recipes to use the file content definition by default. So when you set up a new site, it will create the file and have the types in this file by default. But why do we do that? I didn't explain. It's because when it's in a file, whenever you do a change, it will be committed in Git, and you can see the history, you can change manually, and everyone, by just pulling the new repo, will get the new types. So it's much easier than trying to duplicate the database just to get the new content type definitions, or to have to write custom recipes. So it will be stored automatically there, and that works. But well, the export is broken. Look at it. I didn't try to export while using the database. It should be exactly the same thing. I don't know why. That's weird. Boom. The reference. Maybe it's not related to that.
You need to add an export file step?
No. There is no export file step, because when you execute, it asks you what's the target. And by saying that, yeah, now the issue is somewhere else. The issue, you see, it's related to content definition step, include all. So maybe this thing is or did I forget to do something? No content definitions. No, it's fine. No, yeah, I'll check. There's an issue with this step. Okay. The ref usually are easy to fix. So that's the thing with that. Questions, comments about this feature? The thing in the chat. No question? Okay, beautiful. Himanshu is using it. I merged just for him. How about content? Yeah. So we can expand the question, why not save everything in a file? Technically it's doable, but it will not solve the issue because you still need to query using the SQL database or Lucene index. The Lucene index is a file, so you can commit it if you want. I don't suggest to do that because it's automatically updated locally on every machine. But if we store the content, you will still need, you will lose all the SQL index that we have, so it will not work. We might also ask for other things, but as soon as you have to query stuff, we are stuck. Himanshu, you have your mic on and you are typing at the same time. You can just talk. That's fine.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. So yeah, we were wondering, the question still remains, how do we collaborate on content? And so would you advise us? Would you advise we use recipes?
Yep. Export, import. You can also. Oh, you know what? You know what? We can do something. So right now in the import, maybe you're not familiar with that, but we have import export, and you can export to a remote server. So you can say export the content somewhere. Okay, like we can say export the content definition. Actually, that will also work with the content definition. Oh my god! But it's push. What we can do, and we thought about it, was to be able to synchronize two nodes by using an intermediate storage for the push and the pull. Let me explain. So let me show you. So here, when we create a deployment plan, here I just have content definition, but I could add content. Okay, great. And if I run this deployment plan, it will create a zip file containing all content definition and all content. From this machine, I can define a remote instance to send this recipe or this deployment plan to. So when I will do executor, let me show you. If I do add remote instance, it needs. Hey, there was some hint here. Where did he go? Or maybe it's on the server. Oh, that's on the server. So if I do like remote, and I will type. Oh, okay. I will do that. Client name, remote instance, API key. I don't care. Create. So by doing that, I'm registering a recipient for my deployment plan. So if I go to deployment plans and I say the full deployment plan, I want to execute it. Now I can set a target a file or the remote machine. Okay. And if I do that, it will execute, create a recipe and all the zip file containing everything I need to export, and send it to the remote machine, which will import it in as a result. So what we could do is, instead of having a file or a remote, we could have, let's say, a Git repo or an FTP server, and then it will send the file on this Git repo or this FTP server or this shared drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, whatever. It will put the file there, okay? And you can do it, do a schedule to that. And then we could have another task which is on your machine to look for this Git repo or to look for this OneDrive and pick the file and run the recipe. So this way we can synchronize instances, and maybe that could be a good solution for being able to synchronize dev machines or some production environment and your dev machines. So I think that would be a good way to do that.
Yep, got it.
It's not, yeah, and yeah, we talked about it when we designed these things, so that should be the way to do that. The only thing that we are missing is a deployment. I don't know how we call that. A deployment target. How would you call that? Something to push data to, and super easy to implement. We have a file one so far. We have one that connects to a remote instance, but we need one that stores in a Git repo. I'm not sure a Git repo is the best thing here, but that's super useful because you can create a Git repository and manage access to that. We'll just save the zip files in that. That's not super nice, but that's how it will work. And or yeah, Dropbox, OneDrive, FTP. So these kind of things to be able to push the deployment plans anywhere we want. And then we will need an agent or an action here that will let us download something from these sources, like download from OneDrive, just from a URL, for instance. Sometimes it's just like, yes, import from a URL might work for many solutions, even Git based or FTP, OneDrive. If we can have protected URLs, shared links, that will work. This is all we need, and then you can get all the content from the production. I think that will be super useful. Not hard at all to do and super useful. So whoever wants to work on that will get some support for sure.
Okay.
And we could even have done that for content definition. I don't know, I think about it, but yeah, having the files is much easier because you can. The nice thing is that yeah, you manage with your the UI, and then it's stored automatically, and you know what changed. You can see the history, so that's nicer. Yep. Yeah, the Git one could even extract the zip into the Git, so we could even track the history and revert it. That would be awesome. That would work actually. We should try that. That's it. Other questions? What did I miss on the chat? Okay. The other thing, quick update on taxonomies, if it still works. Well, let me show you what has changed instead, because it works. Oh no, this is new. When was it? When was this? Yes. I need to show you. It's beautiful. Oh my god. So let me stop that. Check out. I pushed it so anyone can try it. Yeah, this is why I updated YesSql also. Because new features in YesSql, so, well, or fixes to support that. So that is done. I will need to delete this folder because it's using the file one, another database one, and taxonomy won't like it, and taxonomy will like it. That's fine. So let's. So if you have questions in the meantime, throw them. Okay, so the content definition file should be included in the solution. You don't have to include it in the solution. If you can just leave it on the file system, and Git will pick it up and merge it. You can even change it on the file if you want directly instead of the UI. That's fine too. It can be useful to change some fields or description settings. I don't know, but the UI is fine. No, you don't have to. Are there any other things that we could put on the file system that will help? So we keep the database one because when we have multiple nodes, we need to be able to share them, and it could still be a file if you, but you can also have it in database if you want. The invalidation mechanism is still valid. So if you change on one node, it will save the file, but the other nodes will invalidate their cache and should reload the file. So if I go to modules, taxonomies, enable, boom, new taxonomy. Oh, maybe there's a bug actually in the content definition file. What's happening? Oh, what's happening? What did I do? Oh yeah, I switched to the taxonomy branch, so it doesn't have the, it doesn't support this file. So it's looking at the database, and there is no content type at all. Okay, I was worried. Okay, shut it down. Update. Something is using it. What is using that? Okay, good. Going to HTTP, so I don't have the redirect. Demo recipe, don't care. Setup. Did I say blog? I said blog, but or did I not say blog? Did I say blog? Super weird. Okay, configuration modules taxonomy enable. Now new blah blah blah. I will just create a color content type just to be able to show you. It will just have a title and the title before the fields. And if I say new taxonomy, I will call it colors, and I want it to be based on the color content. Publish. And now I can add colors. This you must have seen. Blue, I can add. There's something is broken. It should not show it this way. There's a weird style. Red, that's weird. Control F5. Now that's weird. I have a weird CSS. It wasn't doing that earlier. And on blue, I can add dark blue, and I can add light blue. Okay, it works, and I will publish it. And now if I go to content definition for article and I add a field, a taxonomy field, I will call colors. This taxonomy field will be based on the colors taxonomy. Colors, and now these things work. Check if the field is required. Only one value can be selected. Only the leaves can be selected. Like you just want, if you just want the leaves, you say that. And then if I title, auto route, article, HTML body, that's fine. If I create a new article now, title, auto route, the subtitle, and you see the colors here, I see all the things, but I can't select blue because I said you can select only the leaves. Because red doesn't have any sub items, it's a leaf, and I can select this one. And what is nice is that I will open this thing, and I will open, not this thing, I will open SQLite, this thing. So if I open the database, not what I wanted to do, this database, and I go in taxonomy index, taxonomy index is completely empty. If I save, if I publish this thing, article 1, so if I publish it and I refresh, now I have two rows because there is two elements which are two terms for this article. So there is one record per tag or selected term. What we have here is the ID of the line, we don't care. The document ID, we don't really care. What's interesting here is the taxonomy content item ID. So this is the colors taxonomy. This is the article content item ID. This is the type of the content item, the content part that contains the field name, and the term that has been selected. Okay, they have two different IDs because there are two different terms. So if I unselect one and publish, and I refresh, I just have one now. Okay, so this shows how it works. So it's interesting because now we can query taxonomy elements, and this schema should make it very easy to find, to query, and performance to query the tagged content items. You can even filter by content type, content part, content field name. This one could be optional because we could do a foreign key with the content item index, but I keep it here because it might be better for perf. We are denormalizing the database, but that's fine. We can filter to a specific content item or to specific taxonomy. You can filter anything you want, or all the colors. Well, you can even do cross term selection across content types, which is super useful. And this is special because this index comes from a field, which is super new in Orchard Core, because it's using a recent feature of YesSql. So right now in Orchard Core, we don't have anything to query on fields, on field content. We can do that, but we don't have anything here. This is specific to taxonomy, but the way it's done is And I close. It should be quick because now it's brand new. Well, I just have to say that. No, it's back again. It's back again. So orchard taxonomies. So here, if I go in indexing, this taxonomies, taxonomy index, this is the one I want to show. So this is a YesSql index, but it's a scoped index, which means this index can now resolve services. And what it does is whenever a content item is saved, if the content item has a field of type taxonomy, or a field of type taxonomy field, it will look for all the taxonomy item that it's based on, and extract the field data and then create a new index row. That's how it works. And we could do that also for other fields like content item index, because we might want to query all the related items, related content items. That might be super useful. And there are some helpers also in Razor, so we can do. Oh, this thing is broken. So if I go here on taxonomies, on helper, there are some Razor extensions. Well, orchard helper extensions to get a taxonomy term by its ID, to get inherited terms by their ID, and to query the taxonomy index directly. So there is a helper method here, query categorize content item async, and then you can put a link expression on the taxonomy index to get a content item. So super useful. Things to manipulate taxonomy. So what's missing? Oh my god, it's completely broken. So what's missing in this branch is being able to display a taxonomy, display their terms, some default controllers to render things. But right now it's already rendering. So if I have that here, the site, if I go content items, and I want to view the article 1, well, usually it displays the terms that are associated here, which is weird because it doesn't. Interesting. I demoed on Thursday and it was working. Something's broken. I'll check. That's it for taxonomies. Questions?
So
okay, Manchu, I heard so, and then it was done.
I'm sorry, I'll repeat. Against the taxonomy index, there are the use cases.
Okay, can you repeat the beginning of the question? There is an issue with your mic, I don't know what, but it's cutting. No, it doesn't work. Antoine, if you want to share in the meantime. YesSql for searches against taxonomy index or there other use? Yes, searches, exactly. Searches, which means any querying, like if you just want to render, yeah, like you want to create a view that renders all the content items tagged with a specific tag. I use the word tag here, but yeah, you get me. Then that's what you will do. And it's also indexed in Lucene. Okay, so yeah. So if you look at, for instance, some usage of taxonomy, what you would do it for. Let me look if I can find St. Louis Developer Conference. St. Louis Developer Conference. I can't find it. St. Louis.net. No, St. Louis.net. This one. No, this is a group. I can't find it. There was a site using. I still. Do we have a site with Orchard using taxonomies? Can't find of anyone right now. I can't find it. Okay. New York Times. New York Times. Does it work? Can I access the New York Times? Yes. So you see the idea is that you create a taxonomy like this, Word, US, politics, whatever, okay? And they can even be hierarchical. So under business, you can have other things. And this index lets you create pages like this, where when you select a term, it goes to your own control action. You see what term it is, and you say, give me all the articles with this field which has politics, and then you get the list, and you can just render the content items from that. So it's a way to organize your site somehow. That's why we need this index. In Orchard 1, we already have views that do that automatically. So when you even have a menu shape that lets you render the taxonomy as a menu, and when you click, it will go automatically on the page that will display all the content items which are tagged this way. That's the idea. This is one way to use taxonomies. There are many other ways. So what I wanted to show is a conference site. But yeah, if you take any conference site, you will have sessions, speaker. Oh, do we have? No, we don't have the Orchard conference site. So sessions, speakers, and every talk will have a field called speakers and a field called I don't know, subject, and maybe a time slot. And these can all be taxonomies because they are predefined set of values that are based on content items which have custom fields. And for each talk, you will pick up which speakers, which time slot, which topics you want. And then on the UI, you want to show these hierarchies and be able to pick from each of them, even in a faceted way. So you could refine the search results based on multiple checkboxes on speakers, on topics, on slots, and then with this table you can do this kind of query. Or if you also want full text querying, then you can use the Lucene index, which will have the same information but will also let you do some full text search on that. That's how we do things. That's why taxonomy is super important for CMS. Okay, Antoine, I can see your screen, so can everyone.
Okay. So currently the agency theme, the contact form doesn't do anything. So I wanted to try to use a workflow to make it a bit more dynamic. So that's what I did.
Again, you have to screen. Oh no, okay. Sorry, I thought you were showing another screen.
Yeah, I used an HTTP request event with an HTTP method post, so I can copy the trigger URL.
Okay, we need a copy button.
Yes. I changed the template content landing page, and I added an action with this URL. I changed, I replaced ID by name for the input name, email, phone, and message. And then I did like the forms documentation to validate the form fields, and then to use a join activity to trigger the form validation, and if it's not valid, it will display in the validation summary the errors, or it will send an email and then redirect to a page to say that the email has been sent.
And the nice thing with the workflow is that if we don't want to send an email but create a contact
Yes.
item, well, it will be a content item, but we could imagine having some other things to create data and then also send an email, maybe, whatever. But
Yes.
yeah, that's the nice thing.
That's what I did. So I have two forms. The first try I did was to create a contact item.
Okay,
I did
good.
a type, and then I am using in the contact properties the liquid syntax to create a contact.
Okay.
Then I created a contact list, so they could be added to a contact list.
So everything you showed, Michael Petrolinis is doing it in the recipe itself, so that he's made a coming soon theme with the recipe that will also configure the form and the workflow. So when we set up the recipe, it's already working. We just have to set up the SNTP settings. We might want to look also into it for this recipe, because there is a contact form. Might be interesting. Or a gesture like another recipe to create the workflow, so we can reuse the same recipe, something like that. That would be useful. And it works. And then we'll use Mathis is in reCAPTCHA part to protect it if want.
So to send the email, I used also the same liquid code. So if I send the message, it redirects at the end to the same page. I configured my SMTP settings to post to localhost, and I use papercut to receive the email. So this is a sample I just sent. So one thing I don't manage to do is to validate the form on the home page, because it is using the template. The template don't have a validation summary inside, but
A liquid tag. We need a liquid tag. That's what you mean?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it might be just that we don't have a liquid tag for validation summary.
What I can do is, you see, I also made a /contact page, which is a form. And if there are some errors, for example, if I don't have an email,
Which you did in Razor.
I did it with
With the form module. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, which has that. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Which I think we just need a liquid tag to display the summary. That's all we need.
Where is my content page? Here it is. So the same URL with a validation summary inside.
Yep. Okay. Nice. You make a blog post now?
Yeah.
You can.
But the documentation already exists.
Oh, even better. Great, thank you. Yeah, we'll talk about having that by default in the recipe itself. Might make sense. Good. Questions? So Therese, I hope you will try the performance for taxonomy. Okay, you have to make a website in Orchard Core just for that. Just so we can see that it's fast. Okay, let me check the comments quickly. And Dardicia, he showed it on the custom page. He had to make a custom form page because this is the form module supports that with the form page. It shows the summary, but that's why he showed it on a different page, because we don't support it in the current liquid template. There is no tag to render the issues on the same home page. So if someone wants to, maybe Antoine, you want to file an issue so we can track the fact that we need a liquid token to render the form summary. We missed that, I'm sure, and this is what you're missing. So, and we'll change the template to add that also.
Okay.
Yeah, this is standard MVC here. Good, thanks everyone. See you on Thursday or next week. Bye bye.